All right, so we're diving into some online drama today, specifically all the stuff surrounding DJ Academics. And for this deep dive, we're going to be looking at one specific video from a content creator in the Bronx.
Huh.
And, well, they really bring a unique perspective to the whole situation.
Yeah, it's not just your typical, celebrity gossip breakdown or anything. This is someone who's clearly really invested in their community, especially the young people. And that really comes through in the whole video.
Right away, you can tell this isn't just some like surface level thing for them.
Mm.
They're going deep on why they think DJ Academics needs to be canceled. The main accusation is that he's grooming this 15-year-old boy.
Right. And it's not just about being a bad influence or something. They're using that word grooming very deliberately. Like it's a calculated thing trying to pull this kid into a lifestyle that's, to put it mildly, not age appropriate.
And they're clearly really shaken by this whole thing. Like they're genuinely afraid for other kids' safety.
Yeah.
And they keep coming back to the fact that DJ Academics is supposedly a father himself, which just makes it all the more messed up in their eyes.
Yeah, that definitely adds another layer to it, right? Like, how can you be responsible for a child of your own, but then potentially be putting other children at risk?
Yeah.
It's a huge contradiction.
And it goes beyond just DJ Academics for them. They see him as part of this bigger pattern with certain influencers, people who they say are eating off the culture, but now they're doing the bidding of the master.
So that's where the conspiracy stuff starts to come in.
Yeah, they seem to think there's like this larger force at play here, something dark and powerful that's using these guys for its own agenda.
It's interesting, though, right? Like, it speaks to this whole distrust of the media and online figures in general.
Totally. And it's not just about distrust, it's about who they're choosing to trust.
Right. Like, some influencers are seen as genuinely good and helpful,
Yeah.
while others are just in it for themselves or worse, serving some hidden agenda.
Okay, but this next part is where things get really interesting. At one point in the video, they're walking by a church and a graveyard right next to each other.
Yeah.
And they literally stop and point them out. Like they see it as the symbol of the whole good versus evil thing that's happening with DJ Academics.
Wow. That's pretty powerful imagery.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They're taking this whole thing very seriously.
Well, and it shows just how much this is tied to their personal beliefs. They're not just talking about some celebrity gossip. This is about their community, their values, their whole worldview.
Exactly. And you can really feel that intensity when they're talking about DJ Academics, especially when they get to the whole cancel culture thing.
So they're definitely on board with canceling him.
Oh, yeah, they see it as the only appropriate consequence.
But then they also talk about manifesting a better tomorrow and exposing wrongdoing.
It's almost like they're trying to turn this anger into something positive.
So it's not just about tearing someone down.
Right? It's about using that energy to build something better and to educate other people about the problem so it doesn't happen again.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely a nuanced take on the whole cancel culture debate.
It's not just black and white for them. They want to see real change, not just punishment.
And that's what makes this video so fascinating. It's not just about whether DJ Academics is guilty or not. It's about how we respond to these situations as a society and what we can do to create a better online world for everyone.
Especially for the younger generation coming up.
Absolutely. So that's just a taste of what we're getting into today. There's a lot more to unpack in this video, so stick around and we'll keep digging deeper after the break.
Definitely a lot to think about here. This is going to be good. And what really struck me is how they talk about this young content creator that DJ Academics was supposedly working with.
Oh yeah, the kid who they say he was grooming.
Yeah, they actually praised the kid's father for, understanding the situation and realizing what was going on. Like, he knew the difference between a real collaboration and something that could be, really harmful.
It's almost like they're using that as a positive example, right? Like,
Yeah.
Here's someone who saw the red flags and got out.
Exactly. And they even say that the kid saved himself, which is a pretty powerful statement. It suggests that he was able to think critically about the situation and make his own choices.
And it brings up this whole idea of education and awareness being so important. Like, it's not just about canceling someone after the fact. It's about giving young people the tools to protect themselves in the first place.
Yeah, like teaching them how to spot those red flags and
Yeah.
understand the potential dangers of these online interactions.
And that kind of ties back to the whole thing about DJ Academics being a father himself.
Right, like they keep hammering that point home.
They're basically saying, look, if you're a parent, you should understand the impact your actions can have on young people.
It's a direct appeal to his sense of responsibility. Like, how can you claim to care about your own child, but then engage in behavior that could be harmful to others?
And They don't just leave it at that. They actually get into his supposed parenting skills.
Based on his online behavior.
Exactly. Like they're using that as evidence to say he's not setting a good example.
Which is kind of tricky territory, right? Like judging someone's parenting based on their online persona.
Yeah, but it shows how seriously they're taking this whole thing.
And they don't hold back at all.
Oh, no, they go even further than that.
What do you mean?
They actually tell their viewers to unsubscribe from DJ Akademiks channels.
Whoa, so they're not just calling him out, they're actively trying to deplatform him.
It's like they see it as a form of liberation, you know, freeing people from his influence.
Interesting. So it's not just about punishment, it's about breaking those bonds of influence.
Right. They're basically saying, don't support this guy. Don't give your views. Don't be complicit in this.
It's a call to action for sure.
And it highlights the power dynamics at play here.
Like they see DJ Akademiks as having this hold over his audience and they're trying to disrupt that.
Exactly. And then comes one of the most like out there parts of the video.
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Okay, so they start talking about the brains of certain content creators and they compare them to vegetables.
Whoa. Okay, that's a bold statement.
Yeah, they're basically saying that these guys lack intelligence and critical thinking.
Well, we got to be careful with that interpretation, right? It's probably not meant to be taken literally.
Right, it's more like they're expressing their frustration with what they see as mindless content.
Like they're fed up with the lack of substance and critical engagement in certain corners of the online world.
Exactly, and they're not afraid to use strong language to make their point.
Which, fair enough, they're clearly passionate about this issue.
But it's important to remember that this is just one perspective.
Right, we're hearing a very specific viewpoint here.
And to get the full picture, we need to consider other voices and the larger context of cancel culture and online ethics.
Exactly. This is just one piece of a much bigger puzzle.
And that's what makes this whole deep dive so fascinating.
It's not just about DJ Akademiks, it's about how we navigate these complex issues as a society.
And how we can create a more responsible and equitable online world.
Especially for the younger generation who are growing up in this digital landscape.
Absolutely. There's a lot at stake here. Okay, so we've heard their take on unsubscribing and educating young people and trying to build a better online world. But there's one more thing from the video that I got to bring up.
So you mean the part where they mentioned DJ Akademiks being Jamaican?
Yeah, that whole bit about him needing to go back to Jamaica.
That's definitely a loaded statement.
It kind of threw me off, to be honest.
Well, it could be interpreted in a few ways,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe they're saying he's somehow betrayed his cultural roots.
You know, he's taken from the culture, but isn't giving back in a positive way.
It's almost like they're accusing him of forgetting where he came from.
Which ties back into that whole responsibility thing they keep emphasizing.
Right, exactly.
But then on the other hand, it could also be seen as a way of saying he doesn't belong here anymore.
Like he's become harmful and needs to be separated from the community.
Which is where things get kind of tricky.
Yeah, we got to be careful not to read too much into it or make generalizations about an entire group of people.
Absolutely. But even with that caveat, it still reveals a lot about their perspective
About how they view DJ Akademiks in relation to their community.
and how they see cultural belonging and responsibility.
It's a reminder that these online conflicts often intersect with real-world issues of identity and belonging.
And who has the right to speak for or influence a particular community?
Definitely a lot of layers to unpack there.
And it all comes back to this bigger question of cancel culture. This content creator clearly sees it as a necessary tool.
But they also present a more nuanced approach, right?
Right. It's not just about punishment. It's about education and positive change.
It's like they're trying to shift the conversation from canceling to accountability.
Like, yes, there are consequences for harmful actions, but there's also an opportunity for growth and learning and creating a better environment for everyone.
Some more holistic view.
So where does all of this leave us? Well, we've explored one person's passionate take on this whole DJ Akademiks situation. We've seen their accusations, their emotional response, their call to action.
And we've unpacked some of the complexities and nuances of their perspective.
But it's important to remember that this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle.
Exactly. There are always multiple sides to every story.
And it's crucial to engage with those complexities thoughtfully.
To consider different viewpoints and to avoid making snap judgments.
The online world is a powerful force, and it's up to each of us to decide how we navigate it.
Do we blindly follow influencers?
Do we engage in knee-jerk reactions?
Or do we take the time to think critically and consider different perspectives?
And use our voices to create a more responsible and equitable online space?
The choice is ultimately ours.
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.